Loss comes in many forms, and usually in unexpected ways. It can be devastating, leaving you facing an uphill struggle to go on with life without someone you thought would always be there. But life does go on, and even in the deepest despair, we can find hope. Welcome to Grief Relief with your hosts, Doctors Gloria and Heidi Horsley, brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation, helping people find hope after loss. And now here's Dr. Gloria and Dr. Heidi.
Welcome to our show. I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley with my co-host, Dr. Heidi Horsley. Well, hello, Heidi.
Hi, Mom.
We have got a great show today. It's going to be a wonderful show for you, all of you, and we're going to have some great guests, aren't we, Heidi?
Yes, I'm excited because we are going to be talking about twinless twins today.
Mm-hmm. And you know, you're a bereaved sibling, so having a twin is a whole different thing.
It is, and I didn't realize this because, you know, sibling loss is a very unique experience. Our loss is often unacknowledged and minimized, but twins is a whole different thing. You know, it's a very intense kind of loss. When you lose a twin, you almost feel like you've lost part of yourself.
Well, we're going to have Mary Rockefeller Morgan on today, and Heidi, it's very interesting for me to have her on because years and years ago, when we lived in upstate New York, well, we lived in the New York metropolitan area, we had Nelson Rockefeller then, I think was the governor of New York, we'll have to ask Mary, and his son, Michael Rockefeller, died, I believe, in New Guinea, or he was lost, and we were riveted to the news about what happened to him, and we heard all sorts of things like he was eaten by piranhas and all sorts of things like that. But you know what I didn't know, Heidi?
What?
Was that he had a twin.
I had no idea either.
But
Like
I
you
think
said.
that says something about how twins are not acknowledged. So we're going to have Mary Rockefeller Morgan on, who's an author and who has written about the twin experience on. And then we're going to have Carolyn Shane on, and she is from the Temple Emmanuel in New Jersey, and she's a bereaved twin and involved with an organization called Twinless Twins. And then we're going to have singer-songwriter Kate Mills. She's going to sing her original song, Little Bird, for us, because we feel like music is such an important part of the healing process.
It is, because music brings us to a whole different level. It really taps into our emotions, it taps into our feelings, it connects us with those that we've loved and lost.
Absolutely, and very healing. So let's get started because Mary Rockefeller Morgan has given us a wonderful role in
Very good.
telling us some of the aspects about being a twin, which I think is really important. So let's get started with the roll-in.
Okay.
I'm Mary Morgan, and you've got Coping with the Loss of a Twin. The thing that makes twin loss unique and the bereavement journey special is the twin bond. Twins grow from the moment of conception in the womb in relationship. When twins are born, the beginning identity, the little I which we all develop, for twins is framed in a we. And when one of them dies, if they haven't developed an adequate sense of their own identity, they don't know who they are. Twins have said to me over and over again that they feel like they're only half of themselves. The whole issue of twin loss is special to me because I am a twin myself, and I lost my twin at 23 years of age. Having spent 27 years healing has left me with a deep sense of wanting to be able to help other twins. It takes much longer for twins to heal. Our relationship is not what we lose. We lose the physical manifestation of the other person.
Well, Mary, thank you for coming on the show today.
You're
Hi,
so
Mary.
welcome. Hi, Heidi.
That was an intense video. It really, I think, captures the twin experience and how unique it is. And one thing I love about it is that you said your experience with your brother, you knew him 9 months before anybody else. You start getting to bond in the womb.
I think this is the sort of big secret that is basically held and not even known about, even within our own group of twins until just recently, now that they're doing womb studies with sonograms and they're beginning to see the relationship that twins have to each other, that the little fetuses are actually reaching out to each other in intentional reaching out at 14 weeks of age. I mean, that's extraordinary.
That's amazing, Mary. And I recently read something where twins were born premature. You may have read about this. And one of the twins was dying. And they had them in separate incubators. And when they put them together, the one that was dying started to thrive.
Yes, it's really true. I think that sense of growing and learning about existence and your life, but learning that right up against somebody else, right in relationship to somebody else, is a huge thing, and it affects your entire life.
You know, Mary, you were a special twin, as I said, because I know that as I said, people were riveted with your story. And besides talking about the experience of twins, which I think is very important for the twins out there, for people who want to read a little bit more about your story with Michael and going with your dad to try to find him in New Guinea and all that, they might want to get your book, A Memoir of Twin Loss and Healing, Beginning with the End. So you do have some things in there about growing up in Botanical Hills, is that what you called it?
Yes.
On a little farm, you know, you had a cow and plant, you know, kind of talked about growing up with Michael.
Yes.
So I think that's an important part. So I would suggest, if you want to know more about that part of the story, that you pick up this book that Mary's written. And you can get it on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And what I try to do is I try to go through the whole healing journey with events and things that happen that might actually resonate not only with other twins, but also people who've experienced deep personal loss. Then also that whole issue of how, when we've actually acknowledged the loss and are willing to allow the grieving, which actually brings in the healing, then what do we do as we move forward with our life? The whole piece of the book is about moving forward and what the specific issues for twins are.
And how do you move forward without your twin, who's always been a parallel traveler in life with you?
And how do you form intimate relationships? It's so difficult for
Wow,
twins.
it impacts you way beyond.
Yes.
Way beyond even developing relationships later on. The loss of
And
that
you really
twin.
have to almost reframe the word intimacy. And that's what I needed to do with my husband, and he, bless his heart, was able to have the patience to really not be my twin, but be there for me with his love. That's very big.
And I know one of the things that I read about in the book is can be a certain amount of anger with a twin, you know, if you're not acknowledged that this is a special loss. I run a Compassionate Friends group, and a twin last month brought her mother to Compassionate Friends to be helped, but didn't acknowledge the fact how painful it was. And thank goodness for you, I was able, because I had met you and talked to you, I was able to say to her, but you're a twin. That is a very special loss. And you could just see that it just came over her, you know, like, I've been acknowledged.
Yeah.
You know, it was so powerful.
That was very validating, because I was at that meeting.
I think there's a huge misunderstanding or lack of understanding, which really is not a criticism. It's just accept that it is of our culture in terms of really understanding and being willing to see grief as part of life.
Right. Well, let's
which
bring
you
in
two are doing, which is so great.
Thank you. Let's
Thank
bring
you,
in
Mary.
Carol and Shane, and I know
Great.
that you know her from the
Yes.
Twinless Twins organization, right? Welcome to the show, Carolyn. Great to have you on.
Thank you.
Well, Carolyn, before we talk about the organization Twinless Twins, tell us about your twin experience.
Well, I have a little bit of a different experience. Unfortunately, my twin was born severely mentally retarded. So without knowing it, I grew up always compensating for the two of us.
Right.
And I never understood that until I became an adult, and I realized I was dealing with survivor's guilt all my life
Wow.
without knowing it, trying to be for both of us.
So you were living your life for you and your twin.
Yes, for both of us.
I think we have a picture of your twin. I'm not sure Hasn't come up yet, but maybe it hasn't. I didn't see it. But anyway, yeah, darling, your twin was adorable.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
He was a
very-
very handsome little boy.
Yeah,
and,
darling.
thank
yeah,
you.
there he is right now on
Oh, yes.
screen.
Yeah, that's us.
Adorable.
That's
Oh.
us.
couple.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
very darling. And
Thank
I
you.
think we had another one of you with your dad. That'll probably come up later. But so he did have some disabilities.
Well, he never matured beyond what we would call a 6-month-old. So he was never able to take care of himself. And growing up, as young as I can remember, my mother would say to me, "What does Carrie need? What does Carrie want?" And I was able to tell her what I felt.
Wow.
And as infants, the family stories go that whenever I heard Carrie cry, I would cry. And I never would stop crying, even as an infant, until I heard him cry, until I heard him stop crying. Then I would stop crying. But I would cry until I knew he was okay.
That's amazing.
So-
And the fact that you kind of knew what he wanted. You guys have, often twins have their own language, and you were so tapped into him, knowing what his needs were. When
Oh,
he didn't have-
always, because it turned out when we were about 2 years old, we participated in twin study of language.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of my very first memories, but I didn't know what it was until, believe it or not, I was a senior in college and I took a special education class and actually read about my twin and I in this study.
Oh, that's amazing.
And
my
I knew
goodness.
it was us because it was our story. And we were tested to have twin language, and believe it or not, we did have it. And we had it, I guess, all of our lives until he passed.
Amazing. How old was he when he passed away?
He was 47.
Wow. So you were speaking for him for many, many years.
Yes, all of our lives together.
Now tell us about the organization Twinless Twins.
Well, Twinless Twins Support Group International is an organization. It's non-for-profit, and we exist solely to help fellow twins and other multiple loss people, survivors, deal with their loss in a very loving, compassionate, supportive, healing environment. And no matter when anyone loses their twin or whatever the reason would be. So we have members who have in utero loss survivors all the way for people who have lost their twins as any adult age and for any reason whatsoever. So we're
I
there
love
for one
that
another.
because I have heard of twins that lost a twin in utero and nobody told them, and they grew up feeling like they had lost somebody, and then they found out later on that they had indeed lost someone in
Yes.
utero.
Well, we have many members like that. We have one member who always felt that something was missing, and one day she was playing hide and go seek in her closet, and out fell some photographs, and she saw her baby photo with another baby.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's when she went to her parents with the photo, and her parents had to tell her that she was a twin.
Wow.
So I wanted to ask you if you had some advice. If I've just, lost a twin, what would be your advice to me? I'm an adult and I've lost a twin.
Well, I would first of all ask that you go on to speak to another twin and to reach out to our organization, which is very easy to do. You can go on the web, which is www.ttsgi.org, and reach out to an organization. We have regional groups throughout the United States, Canada, Australia. There's even a Twinless Twin group in England, and you find that by healing, we heal by helping others. And if you reach out to other people who are in the same situation you're in, I always call it's a club none of us want to belong to, and you find that you do heal by helping others, and because no matter where we are in life, in the path of healing and moving forward, we've all been there, done that. You don't need to explain how you feel because we all understand how each
And
other
it
feels.
normalizes it to meet another twin,
Yes.
because sometimes you think you're going crazy or something's wrong with you, or why do I feel like there's this big void? And when you hear another twin say, well, I lost a twin and went through the same thing, it's like, okay.
The verification of
Yes.
your feelings.
Heidi, why don't we take a question out
Okay.
from the audience out here?
Great.
Somebody have
Thank you. My name is Steve Osterman, and I wanted to know how do we find the Twinless Twin group?
How do we
How do you find the Twinless Twin group?
Oh,
You can go on our website, and it's, as I said, it's www.ttsgi.org, and it's easily found. We have regional meetings throughout the country, and we do have a conference coming up in July in Los Angeles, beginning July 18th through the 20th. So if you're interested, all you need to do is go on our website. The phone number's there. Our executive director, Michelle, is easily accessible by email, internet, telephone, and you'll get the help. And she'll direct you to the region that you belong to and the regional coordinator of that group.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anybody else?
I think we got a question over here.
Hi, Carolyn. If there was one thing you needed when you lost your twin, what was it?
If there's one thing you need,
You
Needed when you lost the
you
twin.
needed
What
when you
was it? That
lost
would
your
be a good
twin.
one for each of you. What was the main thing you
For
needed?
both of you, for either one of
Yeah.
you.
oh, what we personally needed.
What you personally needed, yes.
For me, it would have been, for me, the most important thing was to connect with somebody who understood what was happening to me. And then also who would be present for my grief. That would be the first thing.
And I needed to be able to share when I was ready to share and have somebody willing to listen without judgment or putting a time frame of when my grief should be over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, Heidi, you can come down back. I was just thinking a little bit about how I know that kids tend to take care of their parents after another sibling has been lost. And Heidi talks about that a little bit. There's a lot of pressure on siblings, right?
Well, absolutely, because as you both know, when our parents lose a child, we're worried about them. I mean, we've lost a sibling and they've lost a child and we're watching them grieve and we want to take care of them. And I've noticed that a lot of the bereaved siblings that I work with tend to hide their grief from their parents because they don't want to cause them any more pain. And I don't know if it's similar
Yeah,
with
and I'm thinking of the pain
twins.
that you two had, the special extra pain
Well-
that then doesn't get acknowledged too.
Yes.
I think in my family, especially because my twin brother was never found.
Right.
So, and what do you say? You know what I mean? Our family was just unable to communicate with each other. We finally did this beautiful memorial for Michael, but there was no real communication of our feelings, and our mom was just really feeling that she had to stand up to do the right thing, and to, you know, she was the governor's wife, and she said to me when I came home from New Guinea, the one thing, Mary, we can't do is cry. And I guess that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me. That helped me to repress my grief for absolute years.
Right.
And I respected her tremendously. She also had just lost her husband, who had just, they were getting a divorce because he had left her. And so it was a very difficult thing for my mother. And I know she tried to do her best. But the age that we lived in, the 50s, 60s, plus just the culture of getting up and moving forward with your life, which still exists today, made it very difficult.
My experience was a little bit different but similar to Mary's, because my mother had my twin and I when she was in her 40s, so she was quite a bit older, so I always was used to protecting my mother. My father was predeceased, and my brothers live out of state from where my mother and I lived, and being that Carrie was born mentally retarded and went off to a state school at the age of 5, people do not understand the connection or the relationship that we had. And so when he passed on, everybody just moved on with their life and expected my mother and me to move on. And I protected my mother, and she never really quite got the connection that I had with him, or she knew about it but didn't understand it. And she thought it was over when his life was over, but it became more intense in a different sort of way.
Well, and the loss of a sibling and a twin, it continues throughout a lifetime, because there's
Yes.
events throughout your entire life that your twin will never be a part of. With marriages, graduations, children, you know, that you kind of thought they were going to be there for. So there's a lot of reminders throughout our lifetime.
And I'm also wondering about what's going on now with the in vitro. I mean, triplets. One of my best friend's daughter lost triplets, and you know, these multiple births are going to be a lot more of them, aren't there? And a lot more where maybe a couple of the babies will die and a couple will live, or I don't know. You know, have you been dealing with that with the twinless twins at all?
There's a 76% increase in the amount of twins that have been born, and not
76?
76% increase
Wow.
since
My goodness.
1980.
Wow.
And that doesn't even talk about the multiples. I mean, in other words, triplets, etc. So absolutely, Gloria, it's a huge issue and so important that we're being able to talk about it.
Yeah, this organization is going to be really important. You guys are going to have to move from multiple, you know, more than twins, I would guess, eventually as time goes on.
But we
I don't
do,
know how many.
we do
you
support anyone who's the
Great.
survivor of a multiple birth.
So that's great for our audience to know that you know that you're
I think that
available.
what you were saying that I think is so important, Heidi, in terms of this thing lasting a lifetime.
Right.
That if you're able to really to partner with the natural healing process, which is working through you if you allow it. That's
Yeah.
the grieving and the bearing witness to your twin's life. Slowly those memories become present without tremendous feelings of grief and loss, so that the twin relationship then is present for you in a positive way. You can, I mean, I feel I can integrate and actually feel my twin in me, you know, and laugh the way he laughs, lighten me up the way I never was. And it's just, it's a beautiful thing. It
I
can
love that
become
you're
a
saying that,
beautiful
Mary.
thing.
Because like you said, our losses transform over time, and
Yeah.
our siblings are our guiding lights, and they give us energy, and they live forever in our hearts and our memories, but we go on to have joy and be in positive places and live our lives for ourselves and them.
And look what's happening here.
Yeah.
And that's
And-
partly because of your own, both of your losses.
Great. Well, we want to thank you both for being on the show so much. This is such an important topic, and we hope people will go to our Open to Hope Foundation and see the video and visit Manhattan Neighborhood Network at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This show will be streamed on Time Warner Channel 56, right, Heidi?
Yeah.
So there's lots
9
going
p.m.?
on. 9 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, lots going on our site with Facebook. We have forums and all sorts of resources for people. So let's go on to hear Kate Mills. And again, thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll be going out.
Thank you for
Please tune
having
in
us.
again next week.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Hey, hey, little bird, why the sorrowful song? The sunrise will be here before too long. Yeah, I know you feel like you're stuck in that tree. Don't you know you were given wings so you could fly free? Why do you sit there with your eyes cast down? Don't be afraid to stand up tall and sing out loud. Oh, feel the sunlight as you look to the sky. It's time to see how far you'll go once you learn to fly. Don't be afraid. Rise up to the sky so blue. Open up your eyes. Let the wind carry you. Hey, hey there now. What happened to your smile? Will you hide behind those dreamy eyes while the stars pass you by? Whoever Don't tell me, baby, you would deny the world your light. Don't be afraid. Rise up to the sky so blue. Open up your eyes. Let the wind carry you. Come out, come out, come out, little sparrow. Come out, come out. The ground is no place for you. Come out, come out, come out from the shadows. Come out, and catch a bird's eye view. Why do you sit there with your eyes cast down? Don't be afraid to stand up tall and sing out loud. Oh, feel the sunlight as you look to the sky. It's time to see how far you'll go once you learn to fly. It's time to see how far you'll go once you learn to fly.
We can talk like we're talking because they're showing us on the end on the screen, but we can talk like we're talking and saying whatever. They're showing us on the screen, so we can say like we're talking. It was a great show, and they're still showing us on the screen, so we're still
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seven.